So it seems like it's that time again. Another day of reading Into the Pit. Where we left off was page 21. How's your summer? Okay, Oswald texted. He was briefly tempted to make his summer sound cooler than it was, but he could never lie to Ben. Been going to the library a lot. Lunch at Jeff's Pizza. That's all? It did sound pathetic compared with a family trip to the beach, he texted. Pretty much, yeah. I'm sorry, Ben texted, and then, that pizza place is creepy. They chatted a little while longer, and although Oswald was happy to hear from Ben, he was also sad that his friend was so far away and having such a good time without him. Monday morning, and Oswald was in a bad mood. Even his mom's pancakes didn't help. In the car, Dad turned up the radio too loud. It was some stupid song about a tractor. Oswald reached for the knob and turned it down. Hey, dude, drive your picks, the music. You know that, Dad said. He turned the awful song back up even louder. It's bad music, Oswald said. I'm trying to save you from yourself. Well, I don't like those video game songs you listen to, Dad said, but I don't just barge into your room and turn them off. Yeah, Oswald said, but I don't force you to listen to them either. Dad turned the radio down. What's with the attitude, son? What's ever bothering you? It's not just that I like country music. Oswald didn't feel like talking, but clearly he was being forced to. And once he opened his mouth, he was surprised to feel complaints erupting from him like lava from a volcano. Tired of every day being exactly the same, Ben texted me yesterday. He's at Myrtle Beach having an awesome time, and I wanted to know what I was doing. And I told him I was going to the library and Jeff's Pizza every day. And you know what I texted back? I'm sorry, and that pizza place is creepy. Dad sighed. I'm sorry we can't go on a vacation and have an awesome time, Oz. Things are hard right now. Where money is concerned, I'm sorry it affects you. You're a kid. You shouldn't have to worry about money. I'm hoping they'll move me to full-time at the store in the fall. That'll help a lot. And if I get promoted to the deli manager, it will be another $1.50 an hour. Oswald knew he shouldn't say what he was about to say, but here he went anyway. Ben's dad got a job that pays even better than his old job at the mill. Dad tightened his grip on the steering wheel. Yeah, well, and Ben's dad had to move 500 miles away to get that job. His voice sounded tight, as tight as his grip on the wheel, and Oswald could tell his jaw was clenched. Your mom and I talked a lot about it, but we decided not to move, especially with your grandmother living here and needing help sometimes. This is our home, kiddo, and things aren't perfect, but we just need to make the best of them. Oswald felt himself crossing the line from grumbling into grounding territory. But why did some people get the best of everything and others had to settle for free library visits and cheap pizza? And so every day you toss me out on the street like garbage. This is the best of things. I'd hate to see the worst. Now, son, don't you think that's a little dramatic? Oswald didn't stick around to hear the rest of his dad's criticism. He got out of the car and slammed the door. His dad sped away, probably glad to get rid of him. Just as he predicted, the library still didn't have the book he wanted. He flipped through a few magazines, the kind with exotic jungle animals, which he usually liked, but they weren't doing much for him today. When his turn came for a computer, he put in his earbuds and watched some YouTube videos. But he wasn't in a good mood enough to laugh. At lunchtime, he sat on Jeff's Pizza with a slice and soda. Every day, cheese slice. If Dad wasn't so stingy, he'd give him another $1 so I can have a pepperoni or sausage. But no, it had to be the cheapest pizza you could get. Sure, money was tight, but really, was another $1 a day going to break the bank? Looking around the place, Oswald decided Ben was right. Jeff's Pizza was creepy. There were those shadowy painted-over figures on the wall, the dusty abandoned ball pit, and when he thought about it, Jeff was kind of creepy too. He looked 100 years old, but was probably just thirsty. With those heavy-lidded, bloodshot eyes and stained apron and slow speech and movement, he was like a zombie pizza shelf. Chef, not shelf. Oswald thought about his argument with Dad that morning. Soon Dad would be texting him, expecting him to come outside to the car. Today was going to be different. Today Dad would have to come and find him. There was one perfect place to hide. Oswald was going into the pit. The pit was pretty gross, really. Obviously untouched for years. The plastic spears were covered in gray, fuzzy dust. Being there would be a great prank on his dad. His dad, who was always dropping him off and picking him up like someone's dry cleaning, would actually have to get out of the car and make an effort for a change. Oswald wouldn't make it easy for him either. Oswald took off his shoes. Yes, the ball pit was disgusting, but at least getting into it would make today different from all other days that had came before it. He climbed into the pit and felt the balls parting to make room for his body. He moved his arms and legs. It was a little like swimming, if you could swim in dry plastic spears. He found his footing at the bottom of the pit. Some of the balls were strangely sticky, but he tried not to think about why. If he was going to trick his dad, he was going to have to go all the way under. He took a deep breath as if he were about to jump into a swimming pool and fell to his knees. That put him in up to his neck. Wiggling around so he was sitting on the pit's floor, put his hand under too. The balls spread apart far enough that he could breathe, but it was dark and made him feel claustrophobic. The place stank of dust and mildew. Pink eye, he could hear his mother's voice saying, "Going to get pink eye." The smell really was getting to him. The dust tickled his nose. He felt a sneeze coming on, but he couldn't move his hand through spears fast enough to reach his nose and muffle it. He sneezed 3 times, each one louder than the one before. Oswald didn't know if his dad was looking for him yet, but if he was, the sneezing ball pit had probably given away his location. Besides, it was too dark and too gross in there. He had to come up for it. As he rose, his ears were sullied by the sound of beeping electronics and yelling and laughing kids. It took a few seconds for his eyes to adjust from the darkness of the pit to the brightness of the nest surrounded him. Flashing lights and vivid colors. He looked around and muttered, "Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore." The walls were lined with shiny arcade cabinets, housing games he heard his dad talk about from his own childhood. Mrs. Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Frogger, Cubert, and Galaga. A neon-lighted claw machine displayed plush, blue, elf-like creatures and orange cartoon cats. He looked down at the pit and realized he was surrounded by little kids wallowing in the strangely clean and now brightly colored plastic orbs. He stood over the preschoolers like a giant. He stepped out of the pit to find his shoes, but they were gone. Standing on the colorful carpet in his sock feet, he looked around. There were lots of kids his age and younger, but there was something different about them. Everyone's hair was styled and fluffy, and the boys wore polo shirts in colors that lots of guys wouldn't be caught dead in, like pink or aqua. Girls' hairs were almost unbelievably big, with bangs that stood out from their foreheads like claws. They wore pastel-colored tops that matched their pastel-colored shoes. The colors, the lights, the sounds. It was a sensory overload. And what was that music? Oswald looked around to see where it was coming from. Across the room on a small stage, a trio of animatronic animals blinked their big blank eyes, opened and closed their mouths, and pivoted back and forth in sync with a jangly, annoying song. There was a brown bear, a blue rabbit with a red bow tie, some sort of bird girl. They reminded Oswald of the mechanical animals he had caught himself drawing lately. The difference was he would never decide if the animals in drawings were cute or creepy. These were creepy. Strangely, though, the dozen or so kids surrounded the stage didn't seem to think so. They were wearing birthday party hats with pictures of the characters on them, dancing and laughing and having a great time. When the smell of pizza hit Oswald's nose, he understood. It was still Jeff's Pizza, or more accurately, what Jeff's Pizza had been before Jeff took over. The bulkhead was new and not roped off. All the outlets on the wall had arcade games plugged into them. And he turned around to face the left wall. And the shapes of the shadows on the wall of Jeff's Pizza was a mural of the same characters performing, quote unquote, on the stage. The brown bear, the blue rabbit, and the bird girl. Below their faces were the words, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Oswald's insides turned to ice water. How had this happened? He knew where he was, but he didn't know when it was or how he got there. Someone bumped into him and he jumped more than normal. Since he felt the physical contact, this must not be a dream. He couldn't decide if this fact was good news or not. Sorry, dude, the kid said. He was about Oswald's age. He was wearing a light yellow polo with the collar turned up, tucked into what looked like a pair of dad jeans. The white tennis shoes he had on were huge, like clown shoes. He looked as if he spent a long time fixing his hair. Are you okay? Yeah, sure, Oswald said. He wasn't sure if he was okay, actually, but he didn't know how to begin to explain his situation. I've not seen you here before, the kid said. Yeah, Oswald said, trying to figure out an explanation. That wouldn't sound too weird. I'm just visiting here, staying with my grandma for a few weeks. This place is great, though all these old games. Old games? The kid said, raising an eyebrow. You're joking, right? I don't know about where you're from, but Freddy's has the newest games around here. That's why lines to play them are so long. Oh yeah, I was just kidding, Oswald said, because he couldn't think of anything else to say. He had heard his dad talk about playing a lot of these games when he was a kid. Absurdly hard games, he said, on which he wasted many hours and many quarters. I'm Chip, the kid said, running his fingers through his poofy hair. Me and my buddy, Mike, who nodded at a tall black kid wearing huge glasses and a shirt with red and blue stripes. We're about to play some skee-ball. Want to come with? Sure, Oswald said. It was nice to hang out with some other kids, even if they seemed to be kids from another time. He didn't think this was a dream, but it sure was a weird one. You got a name? Mike said, looking at Oswald like he was some kind of strange specimen. Oh, sure, I'm Oswald, he said, being too weirded out to remember to introduce himself. Mike gave him a friendly slap on the back. Well, I've got to warn you, Oswald. I'm a beast at skee-ball, but I'll go easy on you since you're new here. Thanks for having mercy on me, Oswald said. He followed them to the skee-ball area. On the way, They passed somebody in a rabbit suit that looks like a that looked like a yellow version of the animatronic rabbit on the stage. Nobody else seemed to be paying attention to the rabbit guy, so Oswald didn't say anything. It's probably a Freddy Fazbear's employee dressed up to entertain the little kids at the birthday party. Mike wasn't kidding about being a beast at skee-ball. He easily beat Chip and Oswald 3 times. But he was a good sport, and they spent the whole time joking around. It felt good being included. But after another couple of games, Oswald started to worry. What time was it really? How long has his dad been looking for him? And how was he going to get back to his real life? Sure, he wanted to give Dad a little scare, but he didn't want to scare the old man so much that he got the police involved. Hey guys, I'd better run. Oswald said. My grandma, he almost said, just texted me, but realized Chip and Mike have no idea what he was talking about whenever this was. They were in their cell phones. My grandma's supposed to pick me up in a few minutes. Okay, dude, maybe we'll catch you later, Chip said, and Mike gave a little nod and a wave. Yeah. Oswald left his companions, stood in the corner in his sock feet, and learned what to do. He was having some kind of magical experience. He was late getting back, and he was missing his shoes. He was like some kind of mixed up guy Cinderella. How to get back? He could walk in front of the door of Freddy Fazbear's, but where would that take him? It might be the right place to find his dad's car waiting, but it wasn't the right time. Not the right decade, even. Then it dawned on him. Maybe the way out was the same way he got in. At the ball pit, a mom was telling her two little kids it was time to leave. They tried to argue with her, but she turned on her stern mom voice and threatened them with an early bedtime. Once they got out, he got in. He sank beneath the surface before anyone could see that a kid over the height limit was in the ball pit. How long to stay under? Randomly, he decided to count to 100, then stand. He rose to his feet and found himself standing in the dusty, roped-off ball pit at Jeff's Pizza. Climbed down, found his shoes right where he left them. His phone vibrated in his pocket. He took it out and read, "We'll be there in 2 minutes." Had no time passed at all? He headed out the door and Jeff called, "See you, kid," behind him. "This looks great, Mom," Oswald said, sparing a sausage link with his fork. "You're in a good mood today." Mom slid a waffle onto his plate. Quite a contrast from yesterday when you were Mr. Grumpy Pants. Yeah, Oswald said, "They're supposed to get my book in the library today." This statement was true, but it wasn't the reason Oswald was in a good mood. Of course, it wasn't like he could tell her the real reason. If he said, "I discovered a ball pit at Jeff's Pizza that lets me travel in time," Mom would be dropping the waffles and picking up the phone to call the nearest child psychologist. Yeah, I'll go with that. Psychologist. Yeah. Oswald picked up his book at the library, but was too impatient to read. He headed over to Jeff's Pizza as soon as it opened at 11. Jeff was in the kitchen when he got there, so he made a beeline for the ball pit. He shook off his shoes, stepped in, and sank into the depths. Since it had seemed to work before, he counted to 100 before he stopped. The animatronic band was playing, quote unquote, some weird jingly song that partially drowned out by the bleeping, blipping, and dinging of a variety of games. He wandered the floor and took in the video games, the whack-a-mole, the neon-lighted token suckers that let you win some tickets. Probably not. If you push the button at the right time, older kids crowded around the video games. Preschoolers climbed on the crayon-colored play equipment. Pink eye, Oswald thought. He had no room to talk. The way he was diving into the ball pit these days. Everything looked as it had before. He even caught sight of a calendar hanging up in an open office that helped him pinpoint the date. 1985. Hey, it's Oswald! Chip was wearing a baby blue polo with his dad jeans and giant sneakers this time. Not a hair on his head was out of place. Hey, Oz, Mike said. He was wearing a Back to the Future t-shirt. Anybody ever call you that? Like the Wizard of Oz? They do now, Oswald said, grinning. He'd gone from having the loneliest summer ever to having 2 new friends and a nickname. True, all these seemed to be happening in the mid-1980s, but why get hung up on the details? Hey, Chip said. We just ordered a pizza. You want to come and have some? We ordered a large, so there's more than we can eat. Speak for yourself, Mike said, but he was grinning. Okay, Chip said. How about I say it's more than we should eat? Want to join us? Oswald was curious how Freddy Fazbender's pizza compared with Jeff's. Sure, thanks. On the way to their table, they passed someone in that same yellow rabbit suit who was standing in a corner, still as a statue. Chip and Mike either didn't see him or ignored him, so Oswald tried to ignore him as well. Why hide in a corner like that, though? If he weren't for the restaurant, surely he wasn't supposed to act all creepy. At the table, a young woman with big blonde hair and blue eyeshadow served them a large pizza with a picture of soda. In the background, the Amtrak band played on. The pizza was pepperoni and sausage with a crispy crust. A nice change from plain cheese slices. You know, Mike said between bites, when I was little, I loved Freddy Fazbear's band. I even had a stuffed Freddy I used to sleep with. Now I look up at that stage, and those things give me the creeps. It's weird, huh? How stuff you like as a little kid gets creepy when you're older. Chip helped himself to another slice. Like clowns. Yeah, or dolls, Mike said between bites. Sometimes I look at my sister's dolls all lined up on the shelf in her room. It's like they're staring at me. Or like the guy in the yellow rabbit suit, Oswald thought. But he didn't say anything. After they demolished the pizza, they played some skee-ball. Mike mopping the floor with them again, but being really nice about it. Oswald didn't worry about the time anymore, because apparently time here didn't pass in the same way as his own time zone. After skee-ball, they took turns playing air hockey in pairs. Oswald was surprisingly decent at it, and even managed to beat Mike once. When they started to run low on tokens, Oswald thanked them for sharing their wealth and said he hoped to see them again soon. After they said their goodbyes, Oswald waited till no one was looking and disappeared into the pit. Hanging out with Chip and Mike turned into a regular thing. Today, they weren't even playing games. They were just sitting at a booth, drinking sodas and talking, trying to ignore the Amtrak animals' annoying music as much as they could. You know what movie I liked? Chip said. His polo shirt was peach-colored today. Oswald loved the guy, but really, didn't he own one shirt that wasn't the color of an Easter egg? The Eternal Song. Seriously, Mike said, pushing his huge glasses up on his nose. That movie was so boring. I was like, The Eternal Song is the perfect title for a movie because I don't think it's ever going to end. They all laughed, and then Chip said, What did you think of it, Oz? I haven't seen that one, Oz said. He said that a lot when hanging out with Chip and Mike. Oswald always listened to them talk about movies and shows they liked. When they mentioned one he didn't know, he looked at them online when he got home. He made a list of 80s movies he wanted to watch and checked the TV listings on the DVR to see when any of them might be showing. Oswald participated in Chip and Mike's conversations as much as he could. It was kind of like being a foreign exchange student. He sometimes had to fake his way through by smiling and nodding and being generally agreeable. Man, you need to get out more, Mike said. Maybe you can go to the movies with Chip and me sometime. That'd be cool, Oswald said, because what else can I say? Actually, I'm from a distant future, and I don't think it would be physically possible for me to see you any place but in Freddy Fazbear's in 1985. They both think it was a joke on Mike because his favorite movie was Back to the Future. Name one movie you've seen that you really like, Chip said to Oswald, trying to figure out what your taste is. Oswald's mind went blank. What movie was from the 80s? E.T.? E.T.? Mike slapped the table, laughing. E.T. was like 3 years ago. You really do need to get out more. Do they not have movie theaters where you came from? Where you come from? They do, Oswald said. And they have Netflix and PlayStation and YouTube and social media. But I didn't say it. Of course, there was technology. Chip and Mike talked about that. He only had the vaguest knowledge of, like, VCRs and boomboxes and cassette tapes. He constantly had to remind himself not to talk about things like cell phones and and the internet. He tried not to wear t-shirts with characters and references that might confuse them or other customers at 1985 Freddy Fazbear's. I can't get the Freddy Fazbear's. Yeah, we definitely need to bring you up to date, Chip said. If only you knew. If you only knew. Yeah. Oswald thought. Hey, do you want to play some games? Mike said. I feel the skee ball calling me. I promise I'll go easy on you guys. Chip laughed. No, you won't. You'll murder us. You guys go ahead, Oswald said. I think I'll just stay at the table. What, and watch the show? Mike said, nodding in the direction of the creepy characters on stage. Something wrong? If you suddenly decided you like Freddy Fazbear's music, we need to get you help fast. No, nothing's wrong, Oswald said. But really, something was. First few visits to 1985 Freddy Fazbear's, it hadn't even occurred to him that he was basically mooching off Chip and Mike's generosity because he never had any money of his own. And even if he wasn't broke in his own time zone, would the money he brought from present day even work in 1985? It's kind of pitiful being broke in 2 decades. Finally he said, I just feel like I'm always taking your money because I never have any. Hey dude, it's cool, Chip said. We hadn't even noticed. Yeah, Mike said. We just figured your grandpa never gave you any money. I know my grandma doesn't. Except when it's my birthday. They were being really nice, but Oswald still felt embarrassed. If they had talked about his lack of money, they meant that they had noticed. How about I just go hang out with you guys while you play, Oswald said. When he stood up, he felt a strange heaviness in the pockets. Some in them was so heavy he felt like his dreams might fall down. He reached in his pockets and pulled out double handfuls of 1985 Freddy Fazbear's game tokens. He produced handful after handful and dumped them on the table. Or we could play using these, he said. He had no idea how to explain the magic that happened. I guess I forgot I was wearing these pants. The ones that had all the tokens in them. Chip and Mike looked a little confused, but they grinned and started raking coins from the table into their empty soda cups. Oswald did the same. He decided just to go with the weirdness. He didn't really know how the tokens got there, but then again, he didn't really know how he got there either. And we are going to do a few more pages. So, few more pages warning, I guess you could say. In the morning, as Dad was driving him to the library, Oswald asked, "Dad, how old were you in 1985? I was just a couple years older than you," Dad said. And other than baseball, all I could think about was how many quarters I'd spend at the arcade. Why do you ask? No reason in particular, Oswald said. I've just been doing some research. Jeff's Pizza, back before it was Jeff's Pizza, it was some kind of arcade, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Dad's voice sounded strange. Nervous, maybe. He was quiet for a few seconds, but then said, "But closed." "Like everything else in this town," Oswald said. "Pretty much, yeah," Dad said, pulling up in front of the library. Maybe it was Oswald's imagination, but it seemed like his dad was relieved to get to their destination, so he wouldn't have to answer any more questions. At 11 o'clock sharp, Oswald headed over to Jeff's Pizza, as had become his habit. With Jeff nowhere in sight, Oswald proceeded to the pit. After his count to 100, he stood. There were noises, but not the usual fast screams, crying children, yells for help, fast footballs of people running. Chaos. Were Chip and Mike here? Were they okay? Was anybody here okay? He was afraid. Part of him wanted to disappear back into the pit, but he was worried about his friends. Also, he was burning with curiosity about what was going on, even though he knew whatever it was horrible. He wasn't in danger, he told himself, because this was the past, a time before he was born. His life couldn't be in danger in time before he even existed. Got it? Stomach in knots. He moved through the crowd, past crying mothers, running with their toddlers in their arms, past dads grasping children's hands and leading them swiftly towards the exit. Their faces masks of shock. "Chip, Mike," he called, but his friends were nowhere to be seen. Maybe they hadn't come to Freddy Fazbear's today. Maybe they were safe. Scared but feeling as if he had to know what was happening, Oswald walked to the opposite direction from everyone else with an escalating feeling of dread. In front of him stood the man in the yellow bunny costume. If it was a man under there, the bunny opened a door that said private and went inside. Oswald followed.